everyone, welcome back on Adobe Live. We will be live for 2 hours with our guest Mike Campau, or Michel Campau, as you like, because we discovered that it's a French name. And I am Michael, I am French, as you can guess, so it works perfectly. Hey Mike, how are you today?
I am awesome.
Yeah?
How are you doing?
Good. So we really love this picture. Oh, that you shared on Twitter. Thank you. Maybe you want to show it again to our friends, because this is something you did yesterday, just using pictures from Adobe Stock. And so who is in the chat? Oh, Rob, still there. Good to see you, man. Nate, thanks for joining. Danielle, also from France. Oh, it's very late in France, Danielle. Crazy. Okay, let me show your screen.
Okay. So
this is what you created yesterday.
Yeah, I polished it up just a little bit before I posted it.
Yeah.
Size some things down, but made the platform blend into the environment a little bit better. So yeah, I noodled it and I was happy enough with it, posted it. So.
And to recap, the guy was alone. Then the platform was made with a 3D using a Modo.
And the chords on the ground too.
And the anvil, that's the name, is anvil. Also a separate stock picture.
Yep.
And you play with the colors. So you can access the replay. Replay is already available on the Creative Cloud YouTube channel. We invite you to subscribe. And also on Adobe Live, on the right, there is a replays tab and you can access it. Okay. Oh, and we have Ryan always saying, Mike, your work is amazing. Yeah, we are very lucky to have Mike live streaming. It's his first live stream this week. Yeah. He will be back tomorrow too. But today, actually, we had a teaser yesterday.
A little teaser. Yeah.
A little teaser, because you want to work with the basic geometric shapes, like spheres.
Yeah, I wanted to do all CGI environment and then stripping in just the person into that environment.
Let's do that.
Process.
And of course, it's a unique opportunity for you to ask questions to Mike, okay? And
well, I know yesterday we had a lot of questions on the CGI, how those are set up, different passes. So I thought, before we got into Photoshop, maybe I would just open the CGI file and just give everyone a quick, elevator ride tutorial explanation of what CGI is, because I know a lot of people get confused and they don't quite understand it. So,
and we have Eddie in the chat who is also using Modo, so that's good.
My man.
Hi Sergio, thanks for joining. Creative Agency, thanks for being with us all day long.
Okay, so let me just open this room file up. So what we have is...
So this is Modo.
This is Modo.
This is not by Adobe, just to be clear.
Yeah,
Adobe doesn't have any 3D
there's no affiliation or
software, nothing.
But this is more just to give people an understanding of what it is.
Yeah.
Some people don't understand the process. So
just myself, for instance.
I
don't know anything about 3D.
Okay. So
and just to be clear with our friends, you are using Modo.
I am using Modo.
If they are using Maya or 3ds Max,
it's all the same. It's all the same principles.
Process.
It's just software is almost a personality base. Some people are just drawn to certain software packages because they work easy in it. So, especially with 3D, there's so many options and software packages. It's just whatever you feel comfortable in. So,
hi Simon, thanks for joining.
So this is just a basic CGI scene. So you can see all the spheres are created, the room's created in a little box here.
I see a camera.
And then there's a camera, and these are lights. So we have big flat light items that act as like a softbox, like a big square softbox. Then we have point lights, these little guys here, which act like a raw bulb. So if you had like a light bulb or a strobe bulb.
And we have a question by Jolie asking, is Modo easy to learn?
It's the reason I was drawn toward it, because I went through all the other CG packages and there's pretty high learning curve. I think Modo, you can get something pretty decent pretty quick, just going through the tutorials and the training.
And Rob Generous is asking you, have you ever tried Project Felix?
I have not, but I was approached by Adobe to try it out.
Okay.
Earlier, I just didn't have time to go through it. I just did a little quick test run, and but
we'll follow you on Twitter.
Yeah, well, I'll get into it. I'm sure I will. Well, now in V-Ray's incorporated into Felix too, which is
V-Ray's,
which I use V-Ray through Modo, so
it
will be a nice tie-in. So it might be something worth looking into now.
So you have these basic shapes.
Yeah, so this is basic shape.
Box, light.
So your camera light. So
what is this?
now this is the real-time preview. So this shows you what your camera is looking at.
Oh, so this is what the.
So this is what your render can look like. And this is another reason I chose Modo, because they were the first to do real-time interactive previews before. Now most packages do it. But I was doing this to show you the different passes. So this is just the final color output. But there's also, we talked about ambient occlusion. This will help you with shadows and shape for when you go into Photoshop. So these will be all the layers that we use in Photoshop. This was the clown render I was telling you about, where you can create alphas or selections based on color, but I prefer to do alphas
black and white.
Yeah. And then there's one called a depth map, which works perfect for lens blur inside Photoshop to create depth of field.
Oh, nice.
So,
I see.
And I set mine in this case, 4 meters to the back wall, so that's where I limit it. So it makes that black, and then it calculates the distance to camera. So that helps me in post create some depth of field without having to do it in camera in the rendering, and that way I can adjust where I want my focus point and change it in post in Photoshop.
So we have Marlon Perez in the chat. Mike, if you get a chance, can you touch on your Vera and Modo AOV outputs? Have you tried the layered PSD method? So actually that's what you did yesterday, right?
Yeah. So
Marlon, if you watch a replay from yesterday, you will see it, but maybe you will show it.
Well, I'll show that today.
Cool.
When I do a stack, I'll bring them all in. But yeah, in Modo you can just save all out passes, and all the files get saved out, and then you move on to Photoshop. So so that's our quick
thanks
brief
for
tutorial.
Showing that.
Yeah.
So you export about 8 layers?
Depending on how complex the scene is, how many alphas
you want to get.
I want to get, just because if there's a lot of objects in the scene, I'll have a lot of alphas, just so when I get into Photoshop and doing post-production, I'll have control over every element and every material in the scene. So.
And also, as a reminder, we invite you to create artworks in Photoshop, pictures, and share them on Twitter, adding Adobe Live hashtag. Okay, it's in the lower third here, Adobe Live. This is the only way for me to catch what you are sharing, and I guess we enjoyed yesterday. Looking at what you can create, maybe using 3D, maybe not. Anything that you want to create with Photoshop, or maybe using the Photoshop Mix or Fix mobile apps. Just share it on Twitter, and we will review some of the artworks live during this show. And also, if you share over the 3 days of live stream, so this is day 2, you get a chance to win a Creative Cloud subscription.
So now I'm just doing the loading files into Stack script through Photoshop. So I'm selecting all my passes, so you can see these are some different passes: outputs, alphas, depth map, ambient occlusion. So this will put them all into a Photoshop file and name them all, so I can keep track of those layers, as you can see over here.
Lilith is asking, does the Modo have a Windows version?
Yes.
I think so, yeah.
Yep.
Again, it's not by Adobe, but it's by the Foundry.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. So let me get my Wacom. So we'll just start with this background. I'm going to just clean it up, show you how I use the layers. Plus, I always render my stuff just a little bit underexposed, because I like to have details sometimes in the highlights, and then bring them back, pump up the midtones and the shadows in post.
I'm already smiling, because if you watch the episode yesterday with Mike, it was like, I start with a simple picture. 2 hours after, you're like, whoa, you don't recognize anything.
I'm just starting with this. This is what I'm starting with. All right, so I'll just take this ambient occlusion pass.
So these are layers coming from Modo.
Yeah. So I like to duplicate them, so I keep all of these layers just as masters, because sometimes
if you
destroy so if I want to pump these up just a little bit.
Yes, Orwell, you can use Maya, Autodesk, 3ds Max. It's exactly the same workflow. Just when you output, make sure you output all these different settings.
Yeah. All right, so we'll use that as a multiplying a little bit of normal to just bring a little shape in there, and then.
And yes, Ryan, it's a rendering engine in Modo. So yeah, classic 3D passes. The same that you have in Project Felix, apparently, because they use the same rendering engine, V-Ray. Yeah. Okay, when will Adobe Photoshop natively support EXR images?
That's a good question for you.
Yeah, it's for Terry.
Like
we'll ask Terry tomorrow.
Yeah, layered EXRs. It does handle EXRs, but not the layered ones.
Oh, the layered EXR.
Yeah, because there's I think.
So there is
have to download. There's a Terry.
Plugin?
I think I'm correct. There's a plugin that you can download from Adobe for EXR file handling within Photoshop. It doesn't. I don't think it's comes
say
installed.
Yes. Just say yes.
Okay, he's nodding. Yes. Just Google. Oh, okay.
So there is a good website, by the way, Maron, which is feedback.photoshop.com. Feedback.photoshop.com, and this is a place where you can ask for new features, report bugs, vote for new features, and directly engage with the Photoshop engineers. And I'm sure someone already raised this issue. I mean, if you work in 3D, I'm not a 3D guy, so I've never heard of it. But I'm sure if you go on to feedback.photoshop.com, there is a discussion about it.
Okay, so now I'm just using one of these alphas here to select out just the background.
Okay.
Not affect the...
not the bubbles.
Yeah. And I'll just do a curve. Because I just want to blow out the background.
Question by Civil. Can we create the things you do with Modo in Photoshop too? Actually...
No, I mean, you can do... I mean, Photoshop's, they got into the 3D a little bit late, so they're starting to slowly get up. And with Project Felix, it's
the new generation
to evolve
of 3D.
So right now, if you've already mastered a 3D program, it's almost kind of taking a step back to Photoshop. But if you're getting into CGI or 3D, then it's probably a great thing to learn, because you're going to learn about speculars and shadows and lighting and how to set up your 3D models. So if you already have Photoshop and you don't want to spend money or dive into a CGI program yet, it's a great place to start and learn just the basics and get going that way.
It's good advice.
And I'm sure Corey's
Corey knows,
demonstrating that as well. So
yeah, he did today a Wolverine.
The claws.
Yeah. This. He did a kind of a Flash superhero logo, which was cool. So you can watch the replay, by the way, if you're interested in 3D in Photoshop by Civil, and if you were not with us sooner today with Corey Barker, the replay is already available on adobelive.com or on the Creative Cloud YouTube channel.
So now I'm just going to brighten up. I'm just selecting the white spheres.
Oh, just the whites?
Yeah, just the whites. I just want
to use the vibrance on
I'm just using a curve. So I use that channel. So I'm just affecting the white ones just to give them a little bit more high key feel, since this has strong backlighting. And then, we saw in the CGI programs, I threw a couple soft boxes, one in the front, one through the window, which is creating some of these specular highlights. So I want to make sure some of that front fill or that key light is brightening these up. Again, this is because I underexposed it a little bit in the CGI camera, so that I have information to work with when I'm doing post-production. Because I don't want to blow out my whites. I want to have a little information there. Alright, so this is getting pretty good as far as tone. Let's just look at a before and after.
Are you also in this quest of contrast, like yesterday?
Not quite yet. This is more just to get a nice the light and the tone down of the plate.
Working on the lights.
So I can bring in the stock photo of the girl and then start playing with that. So I think it's probably good enough now to do the depth map and kind of show what that does.
So is it what you were mentioning with the lens blur?
Yes. So if you go this depth map, this is where from camera to background, it gives you the different.
Okay, the darker it is,
the darker it is, the further away it is.
And so you're supposed to get more blur.
Right. So in lens blur, whatever's white, is 255 and black 0. So you can say your focal point's anywhere from the 255. Incrementally to 0. So if you did 155, it's kind of in that middle ground.
So I had no idea.
So you could do it by numbers that way instead of there is an eyedropper in there, or like I don't know. Sometimes it works, it doesn't. When you click on a spot, it's supposed to like pick that tone, but I just go by the numbers, knowing like where in the shot it is. So, so we'll go up to here, blur, lens blur. All right. Oh. I first have to make an alpha because it uses alpha, so I have to select all, copy.
Alpha channel.
Yeah, I'll just throw it in this. I'll just throw it in. There's an empty one in here.
Yeah.
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 There we go. All right, now.
So Ryan, no, we won't use a fuse. Curry used it. He will try really to make a photorealistic image, which is not something you can easily achieve with Fuse. So that's why he will use Adobe Stock pictures, like real pictures of real people, which is not easy because you cannot control the pose. Once you get the picture, you have to deal with it.
Right. All
okay.
Right,
So how do you do it? Okay.
All right. So
distance. Okay.
Here I'll go
alpha 1.
Yeah. I'll go extreme on this one. So alpha 1, this is where we're using it. And now I'm saying, okay, 217. So that's pretty close to the foreground. So you see, see this guy's in focus, and then as it goes back, these get out of focus. So if I change that to, 124, now these
so
guys
real.
are starting to get into focus. And this is pretty computer intensive, so sometimes it bogs it down. But so now it's 55. See, this foreground's blurred, so the focus is moving back as I move the slider back. So
it's awesome.
So but I don't want that much depth of field. I just want enough to give it some realism for a camera in studio that even if you're shooting at 5.6, you're still going to have some fall off front to back. So I'm going to bring this way down. And bring the blur down. Okay, so now it's a little more subtle. Let's throw that front one a little bit more out. So I pull in the focus right around the, these 3 ball areas, because I think that's where I'm going to have my model focus for now. We'll maybe put her in the center. So we'll hit OK. All right, so now we have that ready. So, we've added a little blur. It looks a little more photorealistic as if this is shot in studio. So let's pick out our model, which I grabbed from Adobe Stock. So this is a pretty static image. So I wanted something, when I was looking through Adobe Stock, just a girl shot on white with some like blowing hair, something to add movement to the shot. Because right now there's these floating orbs, but there's no movement. They're all just kind of static. So let's look for. So I found this one on Adobe Stock.
And Adobe Stock?
Yeah.
Wow.
So, she's shot on white, same basic lighting. A little bit different is the key light on this is more front powered. Our spheres are backlit more than the key light, which I can fake. That's really the only thing that's going to show on here is the shadows on the floor, so we can fake some of that in Photoshop. That's no big deal. So this one's tricky because for masking her out, we run into that same issue where, we get into these whites.
Oh, yeah, white on white.
Yeah, well, whites on whites, plus there's fur.
Oh, yeah, fur. Oh, my God, yeah.
Yeah, so, this is a pretty complex.
Shadows.
Everything else, pretty straightforward.
Okay.
So what I did is I just,
You worked on
I just did a quick path, and I didn't worry about lining this up because we're going to just go into the mask and brush some of those in to give it a little bit believability that there's some of that fur there. And then we're going to go into channels and just pull out the hair. Or we could do refine edge, make a mask. And then, but
channels is good too.
Channels, because it's just so black on white.
In this case, it will work.
It will work. So, like I said, there's many ways to isolate images. You just have to kind of pick and choose where, the best technique for that image. So let's just start here. So we're gonna just look at the blue, green, red, and see which one has the most contrast. Looks like green. So I'll just duplicate that. Just crush the whites and blacks.
So Sean is asking, can I create a 3D text that looks exactly the same as yours from yesterday on Photoshop?
I'm sure you could.
Yeah?
Yeah, it'd probably take a lot of post work though.
To make it.
Yeah, but once Felix comes out with V-Ray, if you create environments, a wood floor, because some of those were on wood floors, because it's really the reflections, the ambient light, the different bounces from the light that the V-Ray picks up. It's a pretty sophisticated renderer, so the current Photoshop renderer is not as sophisticated as that, so it would take a lot of post work to give that look. You'd have to do a lot of brushing and faking and using an ambient occlusion to give it that milky feeling that that there's atmosphere in the room, so it doesn't look so plastic and fake, basically. All right, so I just use my command and click on it. Makes a selection, so turn that off. Select inverse. Make sure my brush is normal.
It's good, huh? And Lily, sorry to hear that you had a Fotolia account. Now it's Adobe Stock, and it says that your zone is not supported. I would ask Adobe Care on Twitter, at Adobe Care, Adobe CARE, one word. It's a good point. Because Adobe Stock, is the result of the acquisition of Fotolia. When was it? It was 1 year, almost 2 years, no?
Yeah, pretty close to that. It was right after the 10 thing, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was in January. No, 2 years. Oh, yeah. I'm so bad with dates. Okay, Adobe acquires Fotolia. Tell me, Google. It was 2 years. Okay.
All right. So now I'm
it's
just
French. So we have a big office actually. We have about 40 or 50 people from Fotolia in Paris now.
Oh.
Yeah, from the acquisition. Yeah.
Nice. So now I'm just throwing a gray background on here so that I can see the white. Because if it was the white on white or just the transparency, it's hard to kind of see what you're doing. So I just throw that on there. So so we can just kind of start brushing these out. Helps to switch that to normal.
Okay, just working on the fur.
Yeah. Just giving some soft edges.
Okay. And again, we will be checking in a few minutes what you shared on Twitter using the Adobe Live hashtag. You can use Instagram too, actually. Let me run also a quick search on Instagram, because I've seen some pictures yesterday. Always using Adobe Live as a hashtag. Most recent.
I'm going to just try to do this quick because it's not very exciting, I know. So we're just trying to make it a little bit inconsistent.
Okay.
Soft, feather a little bit. Make sure you follow the flow of the, whatever the material is. So if it's hair and you're just kind of brushing in a few spots, just make sure you're going in the right direction. Just so it feels a little bit natural.
Yeah, I guess details, that really makes a difference.
Yeah. So, and you're probably not even going to see most of this because it's going to be white on white, but there could be just subtle tones that you can pick up on that gives it that soft fur feel.
And also, we will give away a Creative Cloud subscription to someone in the chat in about 30 minutes. So stay with us. We need to find a secret keyword. Yeah, I'm sure we'll find something. Yes, he's using a Wacom tablet. Kind of small one, huh?
Yeah, I like this. I use the big one on my dual monitors.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm not a big stroke artist. I know a lot of them like the really big ones so they can get these big fluid strokes. I'm a quick, short stroke. Even when I draw with a pencil, I'm quicker with my stroke. So so that's why I use the small one when I'm on a single screen, and then I use a big one when I'm on a dual screen, because then it feels like two small ones put together because I'm in the same space.
Makes sense.
I'm just going to blur this, use the blur tool, blur this edge a little bit because that's soft material.
Who is using a Wacom tablet in the chat? Or let us know what you use, like just a mouse, trackpad, Wacom tablet.
Yeah.
Would be interesting.
And if you're just a mouse person, try a Wacom. It will change your life. Because I used to be the mouse person. Mouse? Yeah. I mean, years ago, but the first time I used the Wacom, it felt completely uncomfortable.
Yeah, but then
within a couple weeks, all of a sudden, I couldn't do things with my mouse.
Oh, yeah?
Because you can't do pressure. It's 100 or none with the mouse. Yeah. And then, it was definitely, if you don't do it, start using one. All right. I think she's pretty good. Let's get her into the scene.
Yeah, we have a lot of Wacom tablet users in the chat. Intros, Bamboo, which is a smaller one.
All right, so I'm going to drop her in here and just kind of, now I'm looking at composition and thinking where she fits in. And we're going to want to overlap some elements, and that's what's going to make her feel like she's there, having some of those elements come in front of her and have her start to influence shadows, casting shadows or lights and darks in the area that she's in. So
so how will you do that? You have to draw the shadows?
Yeah, we'll do almost the same technique we did yesterday. Just do a quick shadow, but I'll also use the integrity of the shadows in the photo and bring those back in. So I think that's in a pretty good spot. Now I'm realizing that I think I want this background even brighter. All right. So the first thing I notice is her color tones don't quite match the scene. The scene's pretty cool, and she's almost yellowish, and the reds don't match. So I'm just gonna, just so I can visually get that out of my head, I'm just gonna take care of that first. So it's not distracting while we're trying to blend her into this scene. So I'm just gonna grab these yellows again, just kind of eye drop, make sure we're in this range.
And Thomas is asking you, do you use also the tablet when you use Modo?
About 50% of the time.
50%.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because the middle click and the sensitivity for selecting polygons and different items, it's more I feel more accurate with the mouse. But then when I'm doing the sculpting or painting in Modo, I use the pen because it's more of a brushstroke feel. So it's, but I'll also use the pen when I'm selecting polygons because I can do it, tap really fast or make selections fast. Where the mouse you have to do a click, and it's just at the end of the day, your finger gets tired if you keep using a mouse. So I like to switch back and forth. All right, so I'm going to have to mask that.
And Eddie is saying, if you were to bring her flat into Modo, you were able to add reflection on the spheres too.
See, but it would reflect the front of her in the spheres unless I had a shot of the back of
shot.
her.
Yeah, good point. Yeah.
Because, I thought of that. Or if we could also build like a little avatar of her, like a stand-in that's not visible to camera. So she's in the scene, but the camera doesn't render her, but she'll be in all the reflections.
Oh.
So, if this was a full-on project for a client, I would have probably gone through the task of at least putting in a stand-in avatar in the 3D scene to build in those reflections in there. Now I think we're just going to fake them because these reflections in the spheres are soft and you can't really tell what they are. So I think we can fake some of those in here once we get her in.
Eddie says, "Oh, true." Yeah, the back shot.
Yeah, you know what? And I might
back shot.
I'm gonna see if we can come across this shot through Adobe Stock and see if they shot any of her from the back, which I don't believe so. But if they did, we could use that as a reflection.
Oh yeah, there is a fine seminar from this series.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, there is also a fine seminar with the same model.
Yeah. Yeah, I think through Photoshop you can right click on it and it will say find similar, but it doesn't have the as detailed as on the website. But all right, so now we're gonna
asking where you're from. So I am from Paris, and Mike is from Michigan. Mildorf? No, what's the name? Of your city?
Oh, near Milford. Just outside of Ann Arbor. Everyone knows where Ann Arbor is. So
Milford.
Yeah. Near Détroit. All right. So these reds, now I'm just...
A small town.
Yeah.
For 6,000 people.
Now I'm just shifting these reds to match more of the scene. Trying to get her to just blend. So these colors are pretty good. So now they're not as distracting. We'll just kind of show a before and after. So she's already feels more settled in, not as distracting. And I still think the background needs a little more brightness to it.
But here we are live from San Francisco, so maybe you can let us know in the chat where you are from and what time this is for you. So for here it's midnight. Whoa. For us it's 3 p.m. But it feels like midnight.
Feels like
for
6.
Me.
Feels like 6 to me.
And for me, actually, it feels like midnight. Yeah, France. It's midnight in France.
All right. So now I'm just brushing in some white. Since we have these are backlit in the scene, in the CGI scene. There's some lights back here. The shadow edge on her just doesn't make sense. It's almost like because she was shot on a sweep, on a seamless, her shadow was blending into that edge or doing a negative, like a negative reflection, so it was adding a shadow. When you do photography, it's like putting up a black flag on that side and it makes the shadow heavier. So I'm just kind of getting rid of that, just brushing in some white.
Okay. We have someone from Austria. Oh yeah, Austria. Same time than in Paris. Same time zone. People from Canada. Alexandre from France. Yeah, midnight. Bosnia, same time zone. Yeah, a lot of people from Europe still. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks for staying up.
Whoa. 3 a.m. Lilith.
Oof.
Oh my God, that's dedication. Okay, Lilith wins. So far.
Winner.
3 a.m.
All right. Okay, so I think we've got her pretty blended in. Now we have to start creating this shadow. So I'm gonna
Angelo
delete
from
this
Kuwait.
mask.
Nice.
All right, so I'm just going back to the original shot here to pull in some of the shadows from under these shoes. Just some of the natural and some of the subtle reflections of her shoes in the floor. So we'll just set this to multiply. And then just brush that in.
Yeah, people from Israel to Germany. Thanks for watching.
So now we have to bring the white point up on this just because it's a multiply, so it's picking up the quarter tones because they're not quite white. And you can see on the histogram
there's just
sort of where that little peak is. So yeah, you just want to get past that, make sure your shadows stay. So that just does that. Let's fade this shadow a little bit so it's not so prominent front lit.
And Eddie is asking, can you touch on working non-destructively and how important that is?
So we talked about that yesterday. I do, I'll do non-destructive when I'm doing the overall final color grade, tone work, any of the effects at the very end. One, it keeps track of the work that created that look, but it also allows me to turn that off, make changes, do another version, and just drag it on there. So it's, it serves two purposes. One, it's non-destructive to the final image, but it gives me flexibility at the end to make changes on the fly and reapply the exact same look. Because if the look's approved and you have to go back in and change the image to try to replicate it again off of memory, or even if you wrote down notes, it's just painstaking as opposed to just dragging that into the to the next layer. And we'll do that at the end here too to demonstrate that. So now we just need to add a little bit of shadow under her feet going back, so we'll just start kind of just gonna grab a selection of her feet. Duplicate. Alright, here's when I use my function key. Hey, it worked.
Oh yeah, because you have this light from the back.
Yeah, it's a light. So we're just creating some faked shadows here a little bit. I'm just making sure they go all the way to the base here. And then we're gonna motion blur these out a little bit.
We have Alejandro from Argentina. Alejandro Coteria, de Buenos Aires. Thanks for watching. And Alexander is asking, what is your references for shadows, light? Is it your work, your eyes?
It just, I guess, years of doing tons and tons of shadows, but you get a sense of, if it's mid-afternoon sun, pretty harsh outline with a blue tint to it. In studio softbox, just like a pool,
and
soft pool.
You're a photographer too,
right?
So you know how to deal with lights.
So when you know the light or the type of light source, then you know what the shadow's going to look like. So, if you had a spotlight with a grid on it and it was a pretty concentrated, you're going to get a shadow that starts out kind of hard, but then it falls off soft. So it's just knowing your light sources and sort of what fits in the scene. Plus I have reference here. I can just look at the shadows on the spheres, see how far they travel, how much they fall off, and use that as reference of how much to put on her so that her shadows don't look out of place compared to the shadows on the spheres.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna shorten these up a tiny bit. sometimes there's, a little bit of an ambient shadow, and what that is all the light bouncing around. She's blocking it, so on the floor there might just be a pool of a little bit darkness. So it's not necessarily her shadow, but she's just blocking light that's bouncing around in the scene. So,
I see what you mean.
So sometimes I'll just...
In this case, you cannot also control what is in the reflection of the shoes.
Right.
I'm sure you can see the team.
Oh, I'm sure, you probably see all the light stands and everything in it.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to do a pool, throw a motion blur on here just to kind of shoot it out so it becomes, it radiates out. And just set that as an overlay. So it just gives a subtle pool under her, in this area. I'll turn it on and off. And then sometimes we can even duplicate that.
Hi, Orwell. So for the contest, let me show it again. It's mainly about compositing, okay? That's the theme of this Adobe Live. And by the way, we will be live every 2 weeks on adobelive.com on Tuesdays, Wednesday, Thursday. So we will be back within 2 weeks to talk about graphic design. And then 2 weeks after, we will do live illustrations on T-shirts that we will print and give away. Then it will be about animation and motion design and video. So a lot of topics. Make sure to come back to Adobe Live, and the best way to be informed about this live stream is to subscribe to the Creative Cloud YouTube channel. And then you go in the notification settings on YouTube and you say, I want to receive a notification when the channel goes live.
I wasn't quite happy with the color tones, so I'm just going back. Like I said yesterday, I'm a little fluid, so I'll work on things, go back out at 100%, look at it and say, oh, something's bothering me. So the tones of the reds weren't still matching up, so I just tweaked the background, a little more contrast,
you look at
a little saturation.
So it's good.
So I tend to do that. I'll work on little details, zoom back out, look at the thing as a whole, say, get your first impression or whatever catches your eye, fix that, go back into a detail, and it's kind of a process, back and forth, and you kind of move around as you go. So we're pretty good now with her tones. We have some shadows under her. We could probably tone this one down. So this is where, file management again. I said I don't usually label stuff as I'm working, but I know that this is
groups.
That's right. So here's the girl. Now this is where it comes in, where all the effects on her are linked to her. So they're like a layer clipping mask, but I put it in a group. So now I have the ability to take this group and do a mask to the group. So it's, instead of doing the initial mask on my group, now I'm limited. Then I have to make another group, put that group in there, and then you start nesting, and then it turns into a nightmare. So plus this gives me some flexibility to make changes, or if I did something, I merged her and then I did liquefy or warp, and I had that in a group mask, I'd have to liquefy or warp the mask because it wouldn't match up with her anymore. So that's another reason why I nest the clipping masks in there. It's just one of those things I've learned over the years, the best way to be flexible when clients make changes and not have to go back and redo work. So it's just one of those things that's how I work. So let's name this girl. So now we have channels for these spheres, but I don't have one for this, but luckily it's a sphere and I can just use a circular selection tool. But normally if I knew ahead of time which one I was going to isolate, I would do a matte or a mask if it was a complicated object. But here I know it's spheres, so I could just do it. It should be pretty easy.
Even myself, I should be able to draw a mask.
If you can just line it up, that's the key. All right, and then usually these, probably should. Oh, here we go. Should feather those like a half of a pixel, just so the edge isn't completely crisp. I do almost all my selections. I'll do a half a pixel.
Okay.
Sometimes a full pixel gets it too soft and it looks like it's got a halo around it. but a half is enough to push that anti-aliasing just enough to let the pixels in front and behind it start to blend in. So
Okay.
I find that works pretty good. So there we have her in the scene. So just, putting that little something in front of her already starts to get her to feel like she's in that environment.
Yeah, she's already
inside
in
there.
the scene.
Yeah. So now we have this background. So I want to start adding a little bit of ambient shadows to the spheres.
Hi, Mahbad. Thanks for joining from Iran.
All right, so I'm
The
just
live
setting
streaming
this to
schedule,
soft light.
yes, Lily, it's good feedback. Actually, I will work on something. So on adobelive.com, if you come back the coming days, I will add, how can I call it? Maybe a bigger schedule tab where I will announce all the dates until April, maybe. Good idea, Lilith.
All right.
Lilith.
So I'm just adding a little bit of shadow from her being in that area. So
Okay. Oh yeah,
it's subtle.
because
She's blocking all the bouncing light, so it's not necessarily
such
her
a
shadow.
blocker.
She's blocking.
She's blocking.
All right, but we don't need it. Obviously, this is in the foreground, so it's catching light. So I just have to make sure it's masked off of that. So there, she's starting to settle in there pretty good. Okay. Now that I have her in there, I'm just looking at composition, and I feel like everything is middle ground to background, and there's nothing in the foreground. So
You need to add something.
So I need to add some foreground elements, and normally I would probably render out individual elements and start adding it, but here I can, since they're spheres, I can just use the alphas I have and grab some, because they're going to have the same reflections whether I make it to the right or left or over here. It's going to be a sphere. So
maybe before that we could review some
I could use a little break
pictures?
to review some pictures.
So we invite you to create pictures using Photoshop, Compositing, 3D, and or not, whatever you want, and share them either on Twitter or Instagram, adding Adobe Live hashtag. So we have Hayden coming soon. Okay. Oh, there is some work here. See on the reflection.
Well, it looks like you probably added it under the.
Oh yeah, here you too.
Under the
think?
city, yeah. It looks like it's done in post. It's done pretty well because it tricked you, but it also the fact that it matches up with the logo. Pretty good.
And then
so what's the double exposure?
Double exposure.
Now this one, actually it's nice image, but it gets back to the contrasts and light. And I think if you pushed the boy to have more contrast, like almost the background white, like right now it's kind of ghosting and it looks like it's fading into that sky, and I wanna see more of the graphic shape of the boy's head, a little bit of darkness there, plus the horizontal, like the placement of the second exposure. The lines at the bottom of him, the tangents creates kind of a weird, so just be really conscious of where your lines and tangents are when doing the double exposures. That's the hardest part. It's easy to create double exposures, but just making them look like they belong, that's the key. And the guys who are really good at it just find the right two images to put together, have enough contrast in the first image. So it's usually a person on white or against the sky, bright white, so it has contrast. But it's a good start. I like the composition and everything. I think the placement of the double exposure of the environment just needs some finessing. Yeah.
Oh, what is this? Is there anybody out there? That's the name of the picture.
It's like they're looking. Yeah, they're trying to look through a circular universe.
Oh yeah, look at that. Yeah.
So, it's the technique of is it polar coordinates, but yet. The spiral, but trying to looking through the looking glass kind of thing.
Good work.
Yeah.
Natalie, what's happening, Natalie?
That's
My
it looks
first
like a
Adobe
Disney
Live
thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a Disney show, please.
Yeah. Okay, so this comes back to yesterday when I talked about the liquid and the little details.
Oh yeah.
So when you're looking through this, well, one, the color of the liquid wouldn't pick up the purplish blues. You might want to have some of the color of the background refracting through it.
Oh yeah.
Because even if it's a sphere, it's gonna refract the light through it. So that's first thing, and then the second thing is you might want to distort, just give some distortion, even on the edges.
Yeah, maybe here.
Well, here, in the middle. Yeah,
In the middle.
In the middle, you might want to keep it, but as it gets to the edge, since this is a sphere, it'd be really easy to make a circle selection and use sphere eyes in Photoshop, and it would kind of warp and push.
Like a fisheye effect.
A fisheye effect, and then give you, then it feels like it's in that scene.
Hey Joe from Dubai. So, this is Adobe Fuse, I can tell.
As the fence CGI, it looks.
Yeah, and maybe Project Felix. Oh, with a bag, I recognize the model. So, look, Street with Fuse and Project Felix.
See,
here we go.
We just read.
And Photoshop, yeah.
If I just read it, but I don't read. I look at pictures. That's all I do.
Yeah, good job, huh? 3 tools.
Nice.
Together. I'm not sure about the story. I don't know what's happening with this character, but
just something. If you're gonna cut out a fence, I'd make it more gnarly, like peeled, bend. You could probably even liquefy some of those ends or something, so it's not perfectly clipped.
Clipped. Yeah.
Yeah. When someone tries to cut metal, they're not going to do it perfect, and they'll bend it, or plus it gives it character. It looks like it's supposed to be.
Good point.
Yeah, a little more hard street. Street is the chain link fence can be, I guess.
Nature versus city. What I like is the fog of nature, and here you feel it's more pollution.
The smog and fog. No, that's nice.
Yeah. Good idea. Identity. And Tiffany. I recognize this. It's in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right next to New York, I think. You picked that one on purpose, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought. No, nice.
Yeah, good job. I like the trails here.
I'd probably get a little more brightness or separation of the silhouette guy, so I kind of know what's going on with him, but other than that, it's pretty good.
It's good, huh?
Yeah. Horizon lines at the third, I like that. Golden thirds.
I'll go to the third here.
Yeah.
Good job,
All
huh?
right.
Yeah.
Nice.
Thanks for sharing. Keep sharing on Twitter, Instagram. Add Adobe Live as a hashtag. And Basil, you were asking, is Mike the last guest for today? Yes, but he will be back tomorrow, same time. And we have 4 guests, so we will start tomorrow at 9 a.m. Pacific time. It's 12 p.m. Eastern time, like New York.
Yep. Yes.
It's 6 p.m. in Paris, 5 p.m. in London, so it gives you some indication. And we will start with Elise Swopes, and then Corey Barker for 2 hours, and then Victoria Siemer and Mike again.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get back to your computer.
All right.
You wanted to place some elements.
Right. Thanks for reminding me. I already forgot what I was doing. Glad you're here. All right. So I'm just going to, let's see. I'm going to want one red one. So I'm going to. Wrong layer mask. Oh, this will work too. So I'll just do intersecting selection there. Oh. Sorry, first time I've used Photoshop.
Hey, we'll see it soon.
All right, so
you should like it.
No, I like it so far. It's pretty good.
So yeah, if you just joined, this is the first time he's using Photoshop.
Just opened it today. All right, so I'm gonna take this.
Well, there was a question by Alexandru. Mike, when you are working with CGI render passes, are you using the linear workflow, linear RGB color space in 32-bit?
No, I'm using color space is usually sRGB, but Moto on the last update added Adobe RGB.
Oh.
So now I use that because I use Adobe RGB throughout all my work. Even in my Nikon, I shoot.
Hey?
I change
Directly
that to
with the Adobe RGB? Wow.
Yep. So I set that to Adobe RGB just so all my workflows all in
with
the same
color space.
Yep.
Nice.
But that's a good question, because it makes a huge difference, especially when you're rendering and if you're going linear. What I'll do is save it as a 16-bit though when I'm doing Moto, just because the gradients I can get smoother transitions. For here I'm doing 8-bit just for speed. I'm on a laptop. 16-bit would start crushing this, like once I get multiple layers and trying to save it. So.
And Nathan Paul, yes. So remind me.
Speaking
what is your
of that,
account?
I'm gonna save this. Just speaking of saving, yeah.
And maybe not as a chief.
No, never.
No.
All right.
Oh, thanks for tweeting, Joey. Yeah, we will check Twitter also during this show. Okay, in about 20 minutes, 25 minutes.
Okay, so
Let me see if you posted something new using Adobe Live. Hashtag Adobe Live. Oh, yes. Crazy stuff.
All right, I'm just separating one white and one red so that I think I'm going to grab this one instead. Ugh.
So your Behance account, Nathan, is okay. Thomas.
All right. So we have one red sphere and one white. Let's try to say that. One white sphere, one white one. Okay.
One white one.
One white one. Yeah.
One white one.
All right. So, I want some
911.
overlapping, but we have to keep, Actually, I want to save these as my masters, just so I can. And I'm not worried about integrity on these because I'm gonna throw them out of focus. Because if they're gonna be close to the camera, the depth of field, it's gonna be out of the depth of field. So they're gonna have quite a bit of blur to them. So I'm not worried about scaling them up.
I see what you mean.
So composition, I just feel like.
Oh yeah, like she's surrounded by.
Yeah. Plus, there's just kind of red needed to be over here.
It could be a composition for Christmas.
It could be.
Yeah.
Or
for
a lot of brands are Target.
Target.
Red and white.
That would work. Pizza Hut.
Nice. So I'm just duplicating. Ooh.
So Michael Newby, RGB doesn't work as well as sRGB for web, does it? Actually, each browser, has its own color space and way to render it. So convention is to use sRGB, which is limited.
Yeah, especially in the cyans blues, you'll find sRGB is clipped more. So that's why I work in Adobe RGB, and then if I'm doing web, I'll maybe convert to sRGB when I do save for web or something. But I like my working space, I keep it in Adobe RGB just to keep that range, because like I said, the cyan blues get clipped in sRGB. So
M&M's, Alex.
All right, let's just get one more. All right, so now I'm going to take these and I'm going to do field blur instead of Gaussian blur.
Field blur?
Field blur.
For them like one by one, or?
Yep. Well, once
field
I get.
Blur, is it the one you? No. Is it the one you use for tilt shift? No.
No, I use it because it
field
has
is like depth of field.
Depth of field, but I just use one point because field blur you can usually do. You can click all over and do points. So you can say over here I want 0 blur, here I want more blur. So you can cheat depth of field a little bit.
Okay.
But I like to use it because it has
just with 1 point.
This bokeh. People say it's bokeh.
Bokeh in French.
But it's it's bokeh because I guess it's Japanese orientation and they only have an E, like sake. So bokeh. But anyway, that's just a story I heard. I don't know if it's true, but I'm pretending like
they will do some research in the in the chat. Is it bokeh? Is it bokeh?
Just
make some research.
So let's see. So we're just gonna, now I'm just, keyboard, or they changed it. What was it? Control instead of, yeah. Yeah. So now I'm just working on composition.
Okay. By the way, yeah, we will be giving away a Creative Cloud subscription to someone in the chat in about 5 minutes. Stay tuned.
I didn't like how much it was blurring, so I'm going to do it again. But I'm going to just do a little bit less. I'm just wondering if this is taxing my graphics card. You know, it's my laptop.
Eddie says, I've always heard bokeh, but then Flywork said it's Japanese. So, tough. It's tough.
Yeah, I can't believe I was actually right. I was just guessing.
Just made it up.
Just made it up, just on the fly. All right, there we go.
Okay, Alexandre, who's French, says it seems to be bokeh.
All right.
Okay.
So
let's say bokeh. Okay,
let's just go. On, it's bokeh, everyone.
Okay.
Bokeh.
January
with the
25th,
market.
2017. From now on, we say bokeh.
From this day forward. All right. And I'm just going to blur these ones in the foreground just a little bit more than the rest of them since they're right in front of camera.
Mm-hmm.
So you can kind of see it gives that natural out of focus in this area. I'll do the same one to this. So this gives it a sense that this is in front of camera and out of that depth of field. And I do this quite a bit with my CGI, just like sometimes I don't render the textures in, but I'll purposely leave elements in the foreground out and render those separate just so I have control in post to change things on the fly or rearrange the composition without having to go back and re-render. So that's the main advantage of doing stills is you can do a lot of things in post to alter the image or enhance it, whereas if you're in video you have to get a lot of it in CGI and camera pretty close.
Okay.
Even though I know you can do a lot of post-production After Effects, and it's just it makes more work for the post-production video compared to still. So.
And we have someone joining saying it's first time seeing a live. Yeah, where are you from? And I won't be able to pronounce your name. Sorry.
All right.
Sharon, why use a field instead of a Gaussian blur? Because there is a bokeh.
There's bokeh. That's the key.
That's the key, the bokeh.
It just has a more natural blur to it, where the Gaussian just kind of does like a wash, you know, like just an even blur, and the field blur has a little bit more of a vibrating edge that you get when you use a camera, depth of field. So this is getting pretty good, but I still feel like it's missing some motion or something to tie all these elements together.
Okay.
And as a digital artist, I keep a library of all kinds of stuff. So I'll shoot like light painting, clouds, skies, elements, snow, dirt, and I'm always just, if I'm out, I'm just going to shoot a bunch of stuff, and then I keep a library at home in different folders like skies and blurs and flares. And so if you can't find something in stock, it's always good to just have your own library as well. So I think this could be interesting to add some kind of light element to it. I'll search Adobe Stock. Maybe there's some in here, but
as you are searching, we will do a giveaway. So we will give away a Creative Cloud subscription to someone in the chat. And to do so, I will ask you a question and just have to type the answer in the chat. And Nightbot, who is a robot I raised 5 years ago, will randomly pick someone in the chat. Not randomly, but also if you are subscribed to the Creative Cloud YouTube channel, you get 5 times more chances to win. You see, I have my slider here.
Oh.
Tick, 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 tick. 5 times.
The robot likes the login, huh? Beep,
Yeah.
boop, boop, beep, boop, boop, boop.
So the question is, so we know that Mike is from Michigan, but from which city? Ooh. It's quite easy to find on the web, actually. But we talked about it.
All right. So
type the name of the city, and within 2 minutes we will pick someone.
Awesome.
Oh,
all right. I'm some stuff. Yeah, but this is very streak, like linear.
Oh yeah.
You know, I'm just trying to find something a little more hand painted, as if somebody like.
What did you type?
Light painting.
Oh, yeah.
But I, you know, if I click on these, like we talked about yesterday, and I did a find similar because I found one that was pretty good. But they all look like they're all traffic.
Looks like the same series.
Yeah. So let's go paint again.
You see this tribute to Milford?
All caps. Does that increase your chances if you do it in all caps? No. Okay. Robot.
Well, actually, Nightbot might be upset.
Because it has to say because you're yelling it at the robot.
Yeah.
So all right.
You have to be nice with Nightbot.
So like, see, that looks like it's an illustration. This one's done by hand. Let's see. Yeah. So.
Yeah. I mean, you have your library too, but.
Yeah. So I just.
It takes time.
Check.
Anyway. Adobe Stock, it's more than 60 million pictures, so it takes time to find the right one.
All right. I just screwed up my layout, so I'm just gonna.
Oh, your workspace?
Yeah. and I didn't have it saved, which I usually always do, but.
Not this time because you're live.
That's right.
Yeah.
Let's just.
Okay, Milford.
So while I fix my
winner, and the winner is, you get a 1-year Creative Cloud subscription. If you are already a member, it will extend your membership. It will add 12 months, and make sure to share. For the winner, your Twitter handle, and I will reach you on Twitter. So the winner is Eric F. Way! Congratulations,
Eric F.
Eric F.
F. All right. Here, I think I got somewhat working space. All right. So I am going to open my library. Let's see. Elements, light painting. So what I'm just going to do quick previews.
This is not like painting. This.
Yeah, so this is open shutter running, Eric Perry style.
Oh, okay.
Open shutter, run the light flashlight with I think a red gel on this one, which. So let's just take a look at this. So I want to add some element of movement through here. So I think it's.
Someone is asking, do you use Adobe Bridge?
Not really. No.
Me neither.
Yeah.
But I've heard if you start using Bridge, you become kind of addicted.
Yeah.
But not for pictures. I use Lightroom.
I was gonna say especially if I have a large catalog or if I went and shot, hundreds. I use Lightroom because it's fast. It does a pretty good job.
Maybe Bridge is better if you manage like several, file types, like InDesign files.
Well, that's I was just going to say that. Especially if you're doing layout and publishing where you have Illustrator, Photoshop, and you're constantly switching back and forth. It's probably really good. All right.
Okay, thanks for sharing your Twitter handle, Eric F.
Okay, so I'm going to put all of these lights behind all the foreground spheres because I know it's going to be back there, but I want to start intertwining it.
I'm contacting you now on Twitter.
Just bring that up. So I just want the light to go in and out of her. So obviously I don't want it over her face and maybe in front of or behind certain spheres. So I'm just going to start masking some of these out using the channels
of the spheres?
Of the spheres and her. We have her as a mask.
Oh, so yeah, that's true.
We can make that light go behind her.
And Eric F is from Brazil. Thanks for watching from Sao Paulo.
Nice. Yeah, I kind of like it going between her legs because then it just creates that light's in that scene. So now it starts to feel like, it's in
between
here.
the legs. Yeah. It's actually it adds also some dimension.
Right. Well, that's
because you could be confused also like the legs. This could seem on the same plan, but now it's a.
And then that's what I'm trying to do even with the spheres is I'm going to have it go in front of and behind certain ones, and all of a sudden it's visually stacking those things and giving more depth. Because visually, your eye might just kind of squish them all into that mid-tone or the mid-range.
Yeah.
So now with these in here, it's going to either put it in the foreground or put it in the background, and then certain ones in front of other ones. So definitely a nice element. It helps, add some motion to the scene. Now visually too, it's making me go, side to side. I'm like exploring the image as opposed to here. I'm just looking at her. So this is another one of those compositions telling story. Now there's a reason her hair is getting blown. Maybe this thing's like zipping, through the scene.
It should be a commercial for
so it's
internet or Verizon. Like 4G.
Can you hear me now?
5G.
All right, so let's.
Hi, Mohammed from Egypt. Thanks for joining. We are live with Mike Campau, Michel Campau. Working in Photoshop, and
let's go.
now the goal is to make decisions about this light. Go behind or in front of the balls, the bubbles.
So I'm just making decisions, like you said, where is it in front of, is it behind? They're different shapes. All right, it's getting there. So now we need to have this light, let me bring that one back in, this light influence the objects that it's whizzing past. So it's a light, so it's going to cast a kind of a ray, a trail, or it's going to light up as it goes by the objects that are near it. So
how would you do that? Painting?
I'm going to paint something. I don't know. I just thought of it, so I'm going to try to figure it out on the fly here.
So you will try to think on the live?
Yeah, I'm going live here.
Wow.
I'm going
live thinking. Okay, the light has a motion blur, but the hair are captured perfect. Doesn't that make the composition look weird?
I always go with creative license as an answer to unexplained things. Well, the light could be so fast that 1/100th of a second it's whizzing by, so it captures her hair, but the light is still long exposure for that light because it's so fast. It's so fast. See, I'm making stuff up on the fly too.
Yeah.
So now I'm just trying to figure out a way that's pretty good. So I'm using overlay. So I tried screen, it just turned white. Overlay kind of creates a nice cast, as you can see me moving it around. But these, let's go with like a little bit of a white here and see what happens. Here, and then motion blur it again. Oh, that's too much. There we go. Just so it's not one solid tone of red. There's a hot spot in the middle, and then it fades out.
Hot spot and diffuse.
Yeah, and then it turns more red, so it's brighter here, and then as it rolls out.
Oh yeah, Ryan, it's flash. Yeah.
See?
It's flash.
Or is it what was the Disney Incredible? What was his name? Was it Flash 2, wasn't it?
Yeah. The boy.
Yeah, the boy. Yeah. And now I'm just gonna warp this. Just so it has some round shape, so when we put it here,
with the opacity. Yeah.
Play with opacity. So now we have a master, and we can just.
Oh yeah.
So I'll use this one on the white ones. Here. I'm just scaling it to match up with the sphere size, and then we'll go back to the red one. I don't think there's other spots other than maybe here.
Nice, Eric. He worked on the piece all day long. Yeah. Make sure to share it, of course, on Twitter and add the Adobe Live hashtag. And we will probably show it live on the stream tomorrow.
And I'm just saving again. And when I save, I usually save incrementally, especially if I'm working on a commission project. Because if it crashes while you're in the middle of a save and you just do a save, you lose both files.
Okay.
Because it deletes your file as it's saving it and then puts it back.
Oh, I see what you mean.
So if it deletes it and you crash, well, that's when you throw your computer through the window, and
this is when.
Yeah, that's when that happens.
This is a Photoshop feature.
It is. They put it in there to keep us on edge, I think. I mean, it hasn't happened. I mean, all kidding aside, it hasn't happened in years, but
yeah, I know there is this crash recovery. So most of the time, you don't lose the file now,
right?
Because they changed the way.
Because that's just my old school.
No, but if you enjoy, having version 1.psd, version 2.
Yeah. So I usually save incrementally just for that. Yeah, it's my thing. I like to just fill up my hard drives. So that's my thing. Just large files. Version 174, for like the clients that make lots of changes. All right, so we're in a pretty good spot. Let me see what else. So we should probably get some red influence on her. Skin's looking a little dead. I might want to bring some of that back. So I'm just brushing out this desatch red.
Okay, final2.psd. Yeah.
For the final, as opposed to the final. Yeah. All right. So I'm just adding a little bit of. Oh, there must be a selection. That's why it's not doing it. There we go. So I'm just adding a little bit of red to her, just using a curve.
Oh.
Just so her just so her skin quality is not kind of greenish blue. Now that there's kind of red surrounding her, plus the influence of the red light.
Yeah.
And then I'll just. I don't know if it will work on this white, but we'll try. Well, on her skin it will. Just brush in a little overlay of some red.
So Ether is asking, does Mike name his layers? Not the layers, but the groups. So
Yeah.
At some point he groups a layer, and then this is when he decides to group them, and also all the layers coming from the 3D tool are already named. So it's kind of easy to find the elements.
I mean, I'm working on it, and I work in the same way on every image. I mean, this process, whether it's CGI or 2 photos, I work the exact same way. And so I'm pretty comfortable knowing where my stuff is. Plus, I can always just, command, move tool, select things if I forgot where it was.
Liza, what do we mean by saving incrementally? So it's...
So version 001, 002. So I do a save as.
So you keep all the version history, but in files,
right?
Which can become pretty big. But if you're not scared about the space,
just get a huge RAID, and you just have that thing backing up to the cloud 24 hours a day, and you're all set. So, all right. So let me get back to putting some just red influence on her.
Do you back up everything in the cloud, all your work?
Yeah. I do like a backup crash plan.
Crash plan.
That's just backing my computer up.
Yeah, that's what we're using also at Adobe.
Yeah.
Crash plan. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, it's great. I mean, I've had an incident where I've had my RAID go down.
Ooh.
Where I'd lost 2 drives at the same time, which never happens. But
it's not supposed to happen.
It's not supposed to happen.
It happened to you.
Yeah. Lost it.
Just you.
Lost it for 2 or 3 days, which were the 2 or 3 worst days of my working life anyway. But I was able to repair one of the drives. Ooh. So then because it was RAID, it was able to recover, and then I hurried up and swapped them out, and all was well. But I was about to call Crash Plan and say, send me a hard drive of everything, the backup. So at least I had it. I knew I had it. Okay. I just didn't want to go through that process without trying to save the RAID. So, but yeah, good question. Save a backup of your backup. Yeah, like always, and do it off-site. Don't do a hard drive in the same location, because God forbid your house goes on fire and then all your backups are gone. So, all right. So I'm just gonna start throwing a little bit of this influence on her. Would help if I was back on that layer.
And Nathan is asking what kind of machine are you working on when you are at home? Yeah. Here for the stream, you play the game with your laptop.
Yeah. Plus, I feel like it's heating up, so it's like starting to.
No, it's nothing.
Yeah, it's nothing.
Oh, no.
Or the battery, one of the two. I've had a swollen battery make keys just start doing weird things before. But at home, I have 2 Mac Pros for my render farm. Whoa. So I do distributed rendering from and I have a new iMac just fully loaded, like whatever you could get loaded. So that's where I start the render, but it distributes to the 2 Mac Pros. Mm-hmm. So I use, I think I have 48 cores or something total when it's rendering. Because I'm pushing around a lot of large format files. Some of the photographers I work with shoot phase one, the 100 megapixels, so, and if I'm doing 16-bit, we're talking about 15 gig files.
Oh.
So, it's pushing a lot of pixels around, so I need it.
So you don't edit these pictures on your iPhone?
No,
not this one.
No. No. Of course, the 7 Plus, it's pretty close. It's going to replace it, right? Is that it's pretty close.
Maybe the 15 Plus.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
All right, so where was I? Let's get rid of our histogram. I don't need that. All right.
Yeah, the Mac Pro. I mean, you mean the towers, right?
Yeah, the old schools.
The old schools.
Yeah, not the toasters or whatever.
Yeah, we have one here.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
No, I still have the old schools. I just upgraded them with RAM, and those are still solid machines. And I really wish Apple would make a new one. I mean, it's been 1,100 and some days since the last one, which is a long product cycle. But keep my fingers crossed because I need a new machine. Apple, if you're listening.
And what monitors are you using? Asking about color calibration. Do you do something like this?
I just go through the standard calibration. I'll do print proofs just to see if it's close. Since I work in RGB and deliver files, because I don't do a whole lot of web, and even if I was, every monitor's different, so it's not going to matter. So when they convert the CMYK, usually the engraver or the converter is going to color balance it anyway, because once you convert it, all the colors get they get kind of messed up. So so I'm a visually color calibrated monitors, so all my monitors are the same, but no, I don't get like a spider, and because I'm not that refined, I'm not doing proofs and prints and stuff, so all right, so I think
we're still live together for about 25 minutes.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm pretty happy with this. I think we might start getting into the non-destructive, playing around with tones.
Like the global tones?
Yeah,
for
the global
image?
tones.
Okay.
I'm still not sure on this.
This one?
Yeah, I think that needs a little more blur because it's closer to camera. Yeah. I was throwing my eye off because it was sharp, but it was big. Okay, so this gets into that non-destructive question. So I'm going to just do a select all, copy, merge, convert to smart object, and then go into camera raw and start playing with adding some overall tones, some film looks to it. And I do want to make this a little bit high key, or a little bit higher key than it was.
What do you mean by that?
So high key lighting is where the whites are almost blown out. It's almost like a white on white, really bright highlights, but you keep your shadows. It's just a photography term for, and I think even some plugins, there's some Topaz plugins that use it and call it high key look, or there's a few other, there's a Lux from, not Red Giant, maybe someone else, but a lot of them use that term high key, but it's just really bright highlights. So I'm just kind of looking through these as a starting point. Plus, like I said, these lights are affecting my monitor, so it's hard for me to judge, but I think that, so I'm just going to punch the contrast here a little bit more. Okay, so now I have it pretty extreme and it's blown out a little blue, so I just will go through my opacities, and so it starts to tie it all together in tone and color. I mean, it was all pretty good as it is, but it's just that extra little level that helps all that come together. It's pretty good. Now the reds are starting to desaturate, so I think I'm gonna darken and saturate reds, to help bring those back a little bit. Throw a level in here to bring some shadow. Keep our blacks black. All right, that's pretty good. I'm looking at it and I'm wondering if we can incorporate another element into this just to give it a, I don't know, just something different. Let me look at libraries. Something fun, like blowing through. I think I'm gonna do
some light reflect on the red ball in the middle. Which one? No, because the light is
the light's behind it.
Is behind.
Are we talking about this one? Yeah.
Yeah.
So the light goes away. So it's something, and if it passes close, so if it's, if you took a flashlight and you put it up close to it, you'd see the influence, and as you go back, it's just gonna create a little bit of fill light, but it's not gonna create that that reflection or that burn in. I'm just gonna had a thought. Just to add a photo element to the CGI scene.
They want some 3D text.
Some 3D text. Let's throw in. It just says text.
Yeah, text.
I'm just going to play with this real quick to see if I like how this looks.
So you directly
so I just went
this picture from Adobe Stock.
Adobe Stock.
The preview.
I'm
just
using
to make sure that you can do something.
Exactly. So I'm not purchasing it yet.
Yep.
I have an idea like, hey, maybe some floating umbrellas or some other element in the scene just to add a little bit of whimsical feel to it. So I thought, umbrellas, let's go in Adobe Stock. I can use a preview. I don't have to purchase it. And I can just use it right in my scene. Just do a quick select.
And yes, we have someone asking Jovan about the music playing in the background. Yes, this is Andrew Applepie. It's an artist from Berlin. And he's on Spotify, SoundCloud. He has a website, andrewapplepie.com.
Oh, for the intro?
Oh, we have music in the background.
Oh, we do?
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Oh, let me see. Is it different? I didn't even know this. Is it different? Hold on. Now we're grooving. All right. All right. Let's just do this quick select. Not even gonna refine it yet because I want to see if I even like it. Because I'll refine it once I get to a high res. Let me just get rid of some of these edges though. Let's get it behind this.
That should be like flying around.
Yeah. Can even duplicate.
Maybe you can.
Well, if I like it, I'm going to go back into Adobe Stock and maybe pick out 2 or 3 different angles of red umbrellas.
Oh, like find similar?
Yeah, similar ones, and then just change their, But
good idea.
But for this, I'll just do it to try to figure out composition, and then we can switch those out or look for ones. So I'm going to group this into umbrellas, just because I want to start masking some in and out here. Using my mask. Now my workflow is all messed up because my palettes, but I'll figure it out.
On top of
Yeah. So,
yeah, start by putting them behind.
I got it. It's under control.
It looks like a Harrods campaign. Yeah, actually, Natalie, I had the same in mind, like a Galerie Lafayette, all these luxury shops.
Oh, yeah.
In Europe. This is the kind of campaign. What would be the chain in the US? Bloomingdale? No. There is something like Bloomingdale?
Bloomingdale's or Macy's or...
Macy's? Yeah.
Alright, so we'll keep this one. I actually think I like it in front of there. And maybe one more. I don't know. I don't know if it needs it or not. I think I like it simple. I mean, it's... I don't know, I'd have to flesh this out a little bit more. Let me...
So what would you... Do you feel that it changes the story, or...?
Yeah, it's just... well, it's almost becomes too much.
Yeah.
Like too much going on. Yeah. Well, it's also distracting that they're super bright red.
Hey, Great White, welcome back. From Liban, right?
So what's good about
And
the iStocks
yes,
is they
French.
come in as, they're almost smart objects because they're iCloud. So you can, if I just did a hue saturate, I can drag it to the rest of them.
Oh, yeah.
And it keeps all this integrity when I purchase it too, which is nice. So, it actually, since the colors aren't as distracting, it's not as bad now.
You want you to add a Michael Bay explosion.
It's just... Actually, you know what? Now with the colors, maybe just do...
Maybe less.
Yeah. Or just hide it more. Well, let's look for another one.
Don't forget the lens flare. Oh, yeah.
Oh.
And Comic Sans.
Okay. Well, they asked for it. I'm doing a lens flare next. It's coming.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's good, actually, from the back like this.
Yeah. So then, let me just do this real quick.
And we're still live from San Francisco for 15 minutes. And we will be back tomorrow at 9 a.m. Pacific time with Elise Swopes for 2 hours, and then 2 hours with Corey Barker, who will do some 3D in Photoshop. 2 hours with Victoria Siemer, and then with Mike.
Yes. I'm just going to do a quick...
Will you do a teaser also today?
Yeah, I can tease for sure. That I can do. So I'm doing a quick channels because the selection was missing the handle. So I just use a channel and I use overlay, black overlay brush, and just brush quick, switch it to white to blow that out. Boom.
Nice.
So that's just another technique of using channels.
Yeah.
You know, crush the highlights and shadows and then use an overlay brush and brush in to make them black and white. And there you go. It's almost the old school way of doing refine edge.
Yeah.
But sometimes you just have more control over it because you can go in
and paint.
And paint. So let's move you out of the way, channels. There we go. Now I gotta turn all these back on.
If you want to replay the video, okay, let me type the comment in the chat. Whoop. Two ways. First way, you visit Adobe Live and there is a replays tab on the right. Second way, you go to the Adobe Creative Cloud channel and you check what are the most recent videos uploaded, and you will find all the replays.
All right, so let's throw this one in.
Where can I find the 3D model? So this is a picture, and the spheres were created with Modo.
Yeah. So there's a ton of stock CGI model sites. So it's just like stock photography.
Oh, yeah,
you can go buy stock models. So, which I do too sometimes. If I have a project and I see a model, and then I'll change it up or customize it depending on the need, just because it saves a little bit of time. Because it's a little different than stock photography, because the stock photography is already lit and shot and that's done.
Yeah,
but the model is, you can change
the pose,
the color, the material. You can change how you put it in the scene, light it. So so it's stock models you can still create as your own. So it's there's plenty of sites out there. Just Google 3D models. There's tons of pages that come up. All right, let me just rotate this one. Whoop. It's just there's a mask from that. Yeah, which is fine. Okay. Oh, I got to change this to normal from overlay.
Hi, Emre from Turkey. Thanks for joining. We're still live with Mike for 12 minutes, but you can watch the replay very soon.
Okay. Well, I'll hurry up and do the non-destructive on this.
And Lily is asking you, how long are you in the field of design? So when did you start it?
Well, I was in school until '96, but I was starting to do freelance work in school.
At school, yeah.
And then right out of school, I started right away in an automotive computer retouching studio, and then just worked through that studio with different agencies and photographers, and been in the business since then. So, but I've been on my own now since 2013.
And Xavier Batista is asking, is it possible to do an internship with Mike? Do you take interns? Or?
No, because I work from my home. So I already have.
Or maybe they can.
And I already have a house full.
Maybe they can
so
cook.
Adding one more thing. That's true. If you're a good cook and you can, clean bathrooms, it sounds like a perfect job. No, I used to run studios and train people, and I do these. I do Adobe Lives now.
Yeah,
that's what I do. So, all right. So I'm just going to license these so we can get the watermark off it.
Yeah, so you can license these pictures without leaving Photoshop. Just right-click, license, and it will automatically replace with the high-definition version. Remove the watermark.
Yep. So it's just
keep
updating
all
now.
The layer styles, effects.
All right. So I'm just going to brighten these up a little bit.
In the chat, let us know when did you start. So we have Mr. Steadicam 1, not 2, started in 1995. We have our friend from Liban who started in 2008. So
that's a good range. Yeah. I mean, I started using Photoshop in 91. So that was my first
experience with Photoshop.
Yep. no layers, only one undo.
One undo, yeah.
You had to use everything in channels.
No text layer.
No. Well, there was a type tool, but it burned it into the.
Yeah, instantly.
So there was no reason to have it. There was
no
reason to have a type in it. Yeah. Good times. All right, so I'm just gonna quickly blend these so we can show the non-destructive and then get to the teasers before we're done here.
Yeah, we have about 10 people in the chat who are ready to come to your place and
hey,
in exchange of some Photoshop tips.
Just some Photoshop
good,
tips, yeah.
Maybe they can manage
maybe
the keys,
maybe I'll just start doing some lives on my own, and hey, those 12 people, dozens of people could watch me at once. It'd be amazing. All right, so if we want to add these elements, and then I just copy paste, do select all, copy, merge, paste, convert to smart object, and I can just drag. I want to do an option drag to there, so we apply the same thing. Just check your opacity. We did it at 35. Boom, boom. So that's how we can make changes under this and keep the non-destructive, the conversation we had earlier. So if I had to go back in and remember all my camera raw settings, I wouldn't have remembered. So I have it saved in a smart object, which is the other benefit of it. So that's that. Now let's go back and see the version without the umbrellas. Or I don't know. I think without.
Now it feels empty.
I know it does. It was so crowded, but it can breathe. It has some air around it, so that's that.
Or maybe it's a 2-week campaign. The first week is like this, and the second week.
And then they're like, we got to sell more umbrellas.
Yeah,
and
just put some umbrellas.
Put some umbrellas.
Or if it's raining, put the umbrellas.
Yeah.
If it's sunny outside,
sunglasses.
Yeah. That's we are like reinventing marketing.
That's right, marketing on the go. All right, so today and yesterday we did.
What we would do like for real with because at Adobe, so we have the Creative Cloud, but also we have Marketing Cloud. Used by like big agencies, big companies. And they would do A/B testing. So you would give them both, and they would put both campaigns 50%, 50%, and they would see in real time which one performs the best.
Right.
And then after a few days, we say, okay, we keep the umbrellas because it performs the best.
I have a lot of pharmaceutical clients, and they do a ton of testing. And they'll do
on you.
They'll do with like full on
with the medics on you.
Yep, testing with the. They give them the medicine, then show them the ad campaign and see if it. So they'll do full-on finished ad campaigns and test with those before they even. Yeah, and then they go to final, and then a final.
We call you, and you call crash plan.
Yeah, that's right. All right, so I was saying today and yesterday we did CGI elements with photos. So tomorrow I'm going to just do straight photos with
pure
photos.
Great.
But I was just going to grab some Adobe Stock and do a studio shot and bring it to the outside environment, which is always tricky.
Ooh.
So I'm going to look through some Adobe Stock and just look for someone shot on black or white. Just someone shot in studio, but then bring them outside and
see how
to do that. And then if we have time, that should go pretty quick, because just isolating studio stuff, getting environments, pretty quick thing. So I might then go into, I have a boot I shot that's waterproof, and I thought it would be cool to just have water spraying off of it. To just show some of the liquid stuff that people have been sending.
Drops
and things. So that's kind of what I have in store for tomorrow, just a couple different studio photography things and how to integrate those.
Yeah, there is someone also who masters that. Eric Johansson from Sweden.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's...
You did the Tech 10 contest where he was the... No?
No, he wasn't in that one. I think he might have...
Because he was the main judge of one of the Tech 10 contests. Like recently, maybe 1 year ago.
Yeah, Christoph Hewitt was the year I was...
Yeah?
I was in it.
Okay.
But I don't think... Yeah. Christoph does some amazing stuff too. Yeah. So...
Hi, Hajar. Thanks for joining. Mike is there, yeah. She's like, Mike? Yeah.
Yeah. I'm right here. So this is just the boot I shot real quick in studio before I came here. So I shot it with some water drops in there, but I'm gonna, I'll isolate it, get some splash, make it look like it's kind of like in motion with water trailing behind it. So that's one of the things, and then I'll start to look through some stock photos and tonight and pull some together, and we'll do that tomorrow.
Cool.
And that's the plan. So
yeah, Mr. Steadicam, he needs some liquidy bubbles. You will get some.
We'll get some liquid going. I won't do any CGI though, because then that gets complicated. Because then we have to. But
that's good. Like over the 3 days, you covered so many techniques, and it's awesome.
So I was going to see if anyone had any other questions or.
Yeah, there is a question from Hajar. Mike, is it easy to start on my own from online videos, or do I need someone to teach me the basics first? Oh,
okay.
I guess like how to learn
for
on YouTube.
Either Photoshop or CGI. It's different people or personalities. I know for me, it's hard to I can never do it through a book. Tutorial books, not a thing, or even the DVDs. The discs sets. Does anyone even do that anymore? I don't know.
I guess there's still business, but
the YouTube you can, but you almost, it's hard to just go through them and learn. You almost need to start your own project, and then as you get to a point you don't know, look up a video that solves that problem, because you start thinking for yourself. I find when you go through tutorials, you're just mimicking what they do, and then when you're done, you forgot what you just did.
There is some free learning content also on Adobe.com. To start, like tutorials. And then there are more like professional websites such as Lynda, lynda.com, and then you will have like a full class with all the steps.
Right.
And sometimes you have people like Corey Barker, Master FX Training. Is the name of the website, and if you want to learn like how to master 3D and special effects in Photoshop, it's a great.
And so for CGI, I find it's
but
good.
For CGI,
to start some projects, like keep it simple. Say I'm going to build a
bridge.
A bridge, or even an object. Sometimes objects are easier because then you can just light them in the classic teapot. You're going to model something, light it in a studio environment, render it, output it, work in Photoshop to do compositing. So those are things you could easily find online. Tutorials to figure out how to model, or say, I don't know how to do a curve, or how to connect the handle. So you'll find.
There's a question by Phil. It's how do you keep updated with new techniques? So is it the same? Like you want to try to do something and you feel that you don't know how to do it, and this is how you would learn something new, or you make sure to understand what's new in Photoshop every time, or maybe once a year?
Usually when the new version comes out, I just do a quick browse of what's new, and see if any of it applies to my workflow or process, and say, that's going to like speed up this part of what I do, or if it's not really my genre, if it's geared toward web designers or saving out, different formats, because Photoshop, when they do updates, there's certain things geared towards certain markets, so not every update affects what I do, but like when they did the update with all the different blurs in the blur gallery, I was like, finally.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah.
Like non-destructive blurs.
On a path, a curve on the path, like which used to be impossible to do because you'd have to do motion blur, then warp it. And
so we have Great White. He has a project for you. A big project, okay.
Big, okay. Huge.
And he will call you.
Okay.
So what is the best way to contact you for business?
Mike at MikeCampau.com.
Mike at MikeCampau.com.
Yep. That's do that, and that's how I usually get requests. I mean, I have a form email on my website too, so if you forget, just put it there and it gets to me, and I reply right away to those. Usually, unless I'm here live, then I can't reply now. But but when we're done.
But usually you're not live.
But usually, you usually go pretty quick. So that's how you get a hold of me. Or you can direct message me on Instagram, Twitter,
Snapchat,
fish chat, fish chat, snapfish, whatever. Yeah. Whatever the new thing is that I don't do until 5 years after it's out.
Okay, great. Thanks again for the great stream, and see you tomorrow same time.
Yep.
And friends in the chat, we will be live tomorrow starting at 9 a.m. Pacific time. It's 12 p.m. in New York, it's 6 p.m. in Paris.
Oh yeah, so good night, kids.
Yeah.
Bedtime again. That's right.
Go to bed.
That's right.
And so we'll be back with Swopes, Corey Barker, Victoria Siemer, and then Mike tomorrow on adobelive.com. Okay?
All right.
Thanks again for the great questions and the great conversation in the chat. And see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye.